rushing to pass a law that's going to outlaw anti-Semitic speech, which includes talking about Israel. This is pretty wild. Check this out. It's called H.R.6090. It just passed the House. It's basically expanding on and re-clarifying the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to outlaw anything that meets the definition of anti-Semitism as laid out by the IHRA. This definition they adopted in 2016. And they specify that this includes the contemporary examples of anti-Semitism that we're about to look at. This bill is like specific to any government institutions or any institutions that get government money, like universities. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm reading this as you can get kicked out of university now if you do any of these things. It's from the IHRA website. This is the one that was adopted in 2016. That was originally written as a non-legally binding working definition that is about to be legally binding. Here's some of those examples that they were talking about in the bill. Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews. Right on. I mean, like, let's not dehumanize. What do they mean by that? Such as, especially but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. We'll come back to that. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interest of their own nation. We're looking at you, Anthony Blinken. Denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, e.g. by claiming that the state of Israel is illegitimate. Yeah, that's illegal now. I wonder why they'd have to make that illegal. Applying double standards by requiring... You mean double standards like not requiring them to, listen to the International Court of Justice? Double standards like them not having to listen to the UN? Double standards like bombing civilians isn't a war crime? I mean, we would never want to apply double standards to Israel, obviously. I'm not going to read that one. Holding Jews collectively responsible for the actions of the state of Israel. I mean, fair game. Lots of Jews are anti-Israel for great reason. But I couldn't help but notice that in the bill, there's the section at the bottom that says constitutional protection. Nothing in this act shall be construed to diminish or infringe upon any right protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Boom! Game on, baby! So I figured I'd exercise a bit of that free speech in the First Amendment of the United States of America Constitution, of which I am a citizen, and point out that these are the only 7 senators in the U.S. Senate that have not taken AIPAC money. 93 out of 100 senators in our government are taking money from the Israel lobby. You know, the one that brags about how they bribe all our politicians to keep Congress pro-Israel. Because, when something's the right thing to do, you have to pay people to believe it. Otherwise, why would they believe it? And you have to ensure that any of those bad people that don't believe it don't get elected, because they're bad. The single most influential big money group in Democratic electoral politics. Because, Democratic electoral politics is all about big money. And using that big money to defeat all the bad people that don't love Israel. Like, take this one, for example, where they elected Chantel Brown. In the 2022 election cycle, Chantel Brown was the top recipient of Israeli money, over $1 million. Just some random woman from Ohio. And that's because the ADL has this nice list of the most radical anti-Israel candidates in the 2022 primary. And Chantel's opponent, Nina Turner, is on that list. She's a very bad person. But I just couldn't help going back to these myths about Jewish people. And I generally actually try to keep my criticisms to Zionists and Israel. But when someone tries to make speech illegal, you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to do that speech. Because you can go fuck yourselves. That's why. And I would use that speech to point out that Google was founded by 3 Jewish people. The New York Times was founded and owned by a Jewish family, the Sulzbergers. Instagram and Facebook are obviously both run by Jewish people. David Zaslav is the president and CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, who is also CNN. He's Jewish. Bob Iger, CEO of Disney. He's Jewish. Just a quick reminder how much Disney owns. We're talking FX, Marvel, ABC, ESPN, National Geographic, Pixar. They even own Star Wars. Brian Roberts, CEO of Comcast. Remember, Comcast owns NBC, MSNBC, all those. He literally goes to Israel every year to compete in the Jewish Olympics, the Maccabiah Games. Brian Levine is the CEO of Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon. He's Jewish. The Newhouse family owns Advanced Publications. They're Jewish. In case you wanted to know who Advanced Publications runs, it's all these magazines. I mean, we could keep going, but honestly, the only 2 that really stand out are X, is owned by Elon Musk. We all know what they tried to do to him. And then we have TikTok. I already made a whole reel, or 10, about how TikTok is actually getting banned for other reasons than China. And how, what's his name? Steve Mnuchin, who is Jewish, is going to try to buy TikTok with all of his buddies. Like, never mind, I'll just let you go watch that one for yourself. I mean, we could keep going, but so far we've hit all of these companies. So, remind me again about the myth of Jews controlling the media? Or does this bill outlaw reading too? Because I've just been reading a little bit. And obviously there's nothing wrong with Jewish people owning companies, and there's nothing wrong with Jewish people like being the CEO of basically every media company in America, as long as they're not more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews than they are to the interests of their own nation, which you obviously need look no further than Ben Shapiro and the Israeli Wire to like realize that that would never happen. Except all that's illegal now, so that's how you know it's not true. Be careful not to go reading the wrong facts out there, because some of those are pretty anti-Semitic. And don't think too much about how the Balfour Declaration was given to Lord Rothschild and was directly a trade of this land for you helping get America into this war. Or do I have my history wrong? Is it anti-Semitic to claim that the Rothschilds were the driving force behind making Israel a state? I'm a little confused on what's anti-Semitic these days. And in case humor and sarcasm goes over your head, obviously not all Jewish people are bad. And obviously not all Jewish people support Israel. Everyone is an individual. I'm just wondering if you're also going to be kicking people out of college for talking about Native Americans or Mexicans. Like, is it illegal to question the narrative around black slavery? Or, I mean, it's not illegal for me to criticize my own government, but it's illegal for me to criticize another government? And it's good foreign policy to let another nation bribe our politicians, but it's illegal to question the bribing of our politicians? Maybe you guys can help me out in the comments so I don't get in trouble with the big boys. But then again, I never even passed high school, so I'm not sure this law applies to dumb folks like me.